Okay, so here is your essay, I believe. This is your essay, right?
Yes.
Okay. So honestly, I quickly went through it, and overall, when I was just glancing it through it, mostly like skimming, it felt good. You have a solid structure. You have three body paragraph. But let's see. Okay, let's see. Let's just break it apart piece by piece. Let's try to come up. Let's try to first decipher what the author is trying to say here. Let's try to come up with our own arguments, and then I'll basically compare my arguments with your arguments and see what you have done. Okay, so let's get this party started. Okay, so the following appeared
Yes.
as a part of an article is the business magazine. Okay, so it's some article in some business magazine. Okay, cool. A recent study. Okay, so the second I see the word recent, already I'm thinking about these subjective adjectives. And the question is, how recent is this, right? But anyway, let's keep on going. A recent study rating 300 male and female mention or maintain. What is this? Okay, whatever this is. Advertising executives, according to the average number of hours they sleep per night, showed an association between the amount of sleep the executives need and the success of their firms. Okay, so probably there is some research or study going on, and they are basically studying a sample of 300 male and female, and basically what they're trying to prove here is the fact that there is some type of association, there is some type of relationship between two entities. First is the amount of sleep these executives are basically getting, and the amount of success that they're able to deliver. So I think there are a lot of assumptions over here. Let's try to break them apart one by one. So the first thing I can attack is the fact that, just give me one second. Sorry, having a bad throat. Okay. So the first thing that I would like to attack is, hey, how recent is this analysis, by the way? I mean, 6 months, 4 months, 5 months. How recent is this? Why? Because if this is like more than 6 months old, then the question is how accurate it can be of the present time. This is the first thing that I would like to attack. The second thing that I would like to attack is 300 amount of people, which is basically a sample, can it be an accurate representation of the overall population? Okay, of the overall population. I mean, how accurate this small sample is when it comes to, this overall general population. What if this data is basically skewed and these 300 people are really extreme cases? The second that I could attack is probably according to the average number of hours they sleep. Okay, so I mean, I'm using some of my quant ability over here, like average. Well, average can basically be attacked in two ways. The concept of averages, the problem with averages, like it averages basically follows two things: frequency and large gaps. Okay? So I'm not going to go into the details. Why? Because this is not a quant class. The problem is, let's say you're taking an average height of, let's say, 10 people, and let's say 7 to 8 of them are 5 feet tall. The problem is, just because the frequency of 5 feet people are more than others, the average is just going to be 5 feet, and the other people are, going to be left as an anomaly. So average sometimes does not seem to very accurate, representation of the middle value. That's the reason why we need mode and median and other type of entities to describe middle value. The second thing is the gap. Let's say there is an extreme outlier, one outlier who is really really like super tall, let's say 7 feet tall or 8 feet tall, then the average is going to shift towards that. So I can attack the average concept from there, like just because the average is basically giving some information about the fact that there is some type of sleep, amount of sleep or some time spent in sleep, and the value it is related to success, it might give a skewed analysis. Okay, can I basically come up with any other argument against this? Let me read for once. A recent study rating 300 people, female, maintain advertising executives according to the average number of hours they sleep per night showed an association between the amount of sleep the executives need and the success of their firms. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so already we have three arguments to attack this, but let's keep on going. Of the advertising firms studied, okay, those whose executives reported needing no more than 6 hours of sleep per night had a higher profit margins and faster growth. Okay, so basically he's saying that, people who were getting 6 hours or less sleep, okay, they're, you can say, generating profits and all of this prosperity was comparatively high. That's what they're trying to say. Let me read it again. Of the advertising firms studied, those whose executives were needing no more than 6 hours sleep per night had higher profit margin, faster growth. So again, I mean, there are a lot of this subjective adjectives like, is this word higher? Uh, does this word higher means a significant amount? I mean, what if, let's say, just for the sake of an argument, that people who are basically sleeping less than 6 hours, they are basically making 20 sales per day, okay? And people who are basically sleeping for 6 hours exactly, they're making 19 sales, okay? So on the surface, people who are sleeping less are making higher sales, are making higher profits. But is this really considerable, or is this causing a significant, amount or change? That's the question, right? Had higher profits margins and faster growth. So again, I mean, how higher are we talking about here? How faster are we talking about here? I mean, can you give me some type of units to basically describe what you're basically trying to say here? So none of that stuff is basically stated there, so I can use this as a weakness to, describe or bring an argument against the prompt. Okay. These results suggest, okay, here, probably this is the conclusion over here. It starts from here. These results suggest that if a business wants to prosperous, it should hire only people who need less than 6 hours of sleep per night. Okay, so the second you see this word only, again, you're basically using this small analysis to kind of like generalize that to every other people out there. I mean, I can simply bring in an argument and simply say, okay, so what if you can find people who sleep for more than 6 hours, yet their effectiveness, their efficiency, their sales are, let's say, 25 sales per day. And people who are, let's say, spending time less than 6 hours, they're only doing 15. So what if some people need more sleep to have a better, productive day, and some people just need less sleep to have some average day. So you cannot simply, again, simply rely on this small sample to kind of like come up with an argument for an overall population. Again, this is a bit too extreme in my opinion. Okay, a bit too extreme. Anyway, so now that we have our a lot of arguments ready, I think we
ABD,
yeah, go ahead, man.
I have a question. Like this is this last line is the conclusion, right? This
Mm-hmm.
result suggests.
Mm-hmm.
So can we say that there would be an assumption over here also? Like if there is an assumption, we can say that there is assumption, or we have to like do not take it account into the account.
No, 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 no. I mean, conclusion is really different from premises, right? So, what basically you need to do over here is like what the author is basically trying to say is he is trying to come up with premise one, premise two, premise three, and there's like a long list, and finally it comes up with a main conclusion. Okay, conclusion. So, what you're basically trying to do is first of all, you're trying to evaluate these premises and whatever the stuff he's basically giving as evidence, if there are any loose links between these evidences, are there any gaps evolved? The conclusion, basically, what he's basically, you can say what he's really trying to deliver here. This is like his main point, right? So this is something that you don't really need to attack. Whatever follows this conclusion, you need to mostly attack this. So if you're saying that, hey, So basically, what he has suggested that people who have less than 6 hours less sleep, since they are giving more productivity, they are source of prosperity way more than people who have 6 hours more. And by the way, there is no evidence that people who can sleep for more than 6 hours, they cannot give the same results. So what if you just increase the span of the sample, and maybe you can even find people who can deliver the same amount of work with the 8 hour sleep, you know? So uh,
Yeah.
so you cannot simply say that whatever this study suggested, it can be taken granted for like a general rule for hiring people. That's just a crappy argument. Okay, so now that basically we are done with our analysis, I think we are in a pretty good position to go to the this essay and start looking for any mistakes or so. Okay, in the argument, author concludes that for a business to flourish, concludes that for a business. Uh, I mean, a business basically means any business. I mean, you're being a bit general over here. You should have, written the business because you want to be specific, and this is a specific business, right? Following appeared an article of an a business. Hmm, a business. I don't think so. Then there's a problem with this.
Last line, second last line, it is written a business.
Yeah. Okay. I think a business and yeah, okay, not a big deal. Okay, we can ignore that. So in the argument, author concludes that for a business to flourish, it should consider hiring those employees who require less than 6 hours of sleep per night. The author reaches to this conclusion based on several premises, and a study which, if correct, may indicate that arguments holds water. Hmm. I mean, this is something that a lot of greg students are basically using, and my suggestion would be to kind of like avoid this phrase. I'm seeing this a lot. A lot of his students are basically
What
using.
should,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, what should yeah, I use this his template, but what should I write in place of this argument holds water? What should I write?
Okay, so you can simply write that the arguments lacks credibility, or our argument can be easily undermined, or argument is untenable, or argument is lacks concrete evidence. I mean, you can say a lot of things. I mean, this is something,
No,
because the reason why I'm
if
saying that is because a lot of people are using this, and this is kind of like shows that the effect of plagiarism, like you're reusing phrases of someone else. So I was, because this is like everywhere, every other guy is using this argument does not hold water. So yeah.
which, if correct, may indicate that the argument is reliable. Can I write like this?
Yeah, which may
Which,
indicate
if
that
correct,
the yeah, I mean, which may indicate that the argument is sound, it's rational, it's logical. However, this is the part where you're basically entering into your main position. You could say, however, if the
yeah.
authors is however, the author seems to assume a lot of things, and if those assumptions are called into question, then the author position might not be tenable, or might not be sound, blah blah blah, something like this. Okay, however, as it stands now, the suggestion from the author is based on three unstated assumptions, okay, that decreases the validity of the conclusion. I will not use this word decreases, I would use undermine. That undermines, okay, because that's just a better word, I would say. Yeah, undermines the validity of the conclusion. Okay, so far so good. First of all, the author assumed that studying involving 300 male and female is an appropriate representation of giving any generalization and evaluating a relationship between employee sleep and success of firm, but this might not be true. Okay, so basically, what Nahar is doing over here is basically he's going for this argument that, hey, you know what? This small sample might not be an accurate representation of the overall population. Okay, I like it. Perhaps it may be possible that count of 300 may be very small in number in comparison with the entire population of the firm. Okay, cool, I like it. In addition, involving small number of employees may provide limited insight for the large population. Relying on a small sample may eliminate a number of exceptional cases which may be essential. If either of the scenario above proves true to be true, then the author's argument does not hold. Ooh. Uh, and Harman, there's a thing known as sentence variety, and the ETS graders basically give you higher score if you're able to say one thing by rephrasing it in multiple ways. So this is kind of like going against you.
Yeah,
Okay. So not
yeah.
only
I will
because,
change it.
yeah, not only because a lot of students are doing this, argument does not hold water, due to the fact that you have basically used it twice in the same essay, which I would definitely not suggest or recommend. Anyway, overall, I like it. This is a very good paragraph. I like it. Okay. Moreover, the author assumes that employees reported their sleeping hours accurately in the study. However, huh? Wait a second. Moreover, the author assumes that the employees reported their sleeping hours accurately in the study. Because there needs to be a full stop over here, and this needs to be a capital H. Wait a second. Did the employees reported they're sleeping? What? Okay, let me read again. Where is this reporting? Let's see. Okay. A recent study rating 300 male and female advertising executives according to the average number of hours they sleep per night showed an association between the amount of sleep an executive need and the success of number of hours they sleep. Number of hours they sleep. So nowhere in the passage, basically, it is mentioned that the employees themselves are telling that, hey, I
Fourth
sleep.
line.
Fourth line, where
Fourth line.
showed an association between the amount of sleep an executive need and the success of the firms of the advertising firm studied. Those whose executive reported. Oh, okay. I see. Reported needing no more than 6 hours of sleep per night had higher profit margins and faster profit. Okay. So there is reported stuff. Okay, I like it then. So basically, what Enhar is basically trying to do over here, he's saying that what if these reports are false, they're skewed, and maybe there is some type of hidden agenda, and the only reason why people are saying that they sleep less than 6 hours is probably they want to show off that, yeah, we do a lot of work and we're really punctual, and we're not that lazy, and we sleep with the as much less as possible, we're really active. So probably this, I'm guessing that this might be Nahar's or yours argument. Let's see. The author assumes that all the employees have. Oh, sorry. Moreover, the author assumes that employees reported their sleeping hours accurately in the study. You want to say something, Anar?
No, no. I was just saying above paragraph. Yeah, this one.
Okay. Okay. However, this might not be true. This might not be true. Okay. I would say redundancy and use of same language is quite obvious. And probably you need to rephrase this. However, this might not be the case. Okay, you could write this or something to this effect. Okay. For example, employees may have reported more sleeping hours in order to mask their personal activities, which may include watching movies and enjoy parties. Wait a minute, this was not I was expecting. Why would they report more hours? Hmm. For example, employees may have reported more sleeping hours in order to mask, okay, so they're trying to hide something, their potential activities, which may include movies and enjoying stuff. Wait a second. So the reason why people are reporting more sleeping hours? Hmm. No more than 6 hours. Okay, so this is a bit confusing. I was not expecting this. What I was expecting is that people basically sleep for 8 hours, but in reality, they are reporting for 6 hours. And the reason why they're doing it is because they want to show off that, hey, man, I'm not lazy and I do a lot of work and blah, blah, blah. However, I honestly don't know why. And Nahar is basically saying that people will, post more hours to hide their enjoyment. Hmm. So, Nahar, can you come on the line and explain this? Like, what is your reasoning over here?
I was expecting both the aspects. One aspect which you said like they were faking it, and second I was thinking like they were having their enjoying their time, but they do not want to tell what they were doing, so they just said they were sleeping at night.
Okay, so basically, you're saying that the reason why basically they said that we sleep less than 6 hours, in reality maybe they're sleeping 3 hours, right? And the rest 3 hours are spent on enjoyment stuff and entertainment.
Yeah,
Hmm. Does this make sense given the context that people are trying to be hired given the fact that they should sleep as less as possible? Hmm. I mean, why would anybody tell that I sleep 6 hours, where in reality I only sleep 3 hours because I'm trying to hide the fact that I am enjoying.
yeah, I in the wrong way. Yeah,
Hmm. I mean, it could make some sense, but given the fact that the author is basically concerned that, hey, you need to, you know, hire those people who sleep less than 6 hours, this argument seems to be a bit vague and a bit, you can say, misleading. I'm confused, honestly. Let's see. Furthermore, even if the employees reported lesser hours, it may be possible they wanted to regard their low productivity because of harsh workload provided to them. So wait a second. So you're saying that the reason why people are saying that we sleep less is because of the fact that we are treated harshly and there is a lot of workload. Does this make sense? Okay. So the reason why people are reporting 6 hours or less is because of the fact that there is a lot of, tedious and demanding work. Does this make any sense? Because I have a lot of work to do, I only sleep 6 hours. Okay. Okay. So the reasoning is, I mean, it's a bit 50-50. So basically, you're giving an incentive that this is not the case. This is not the reality. The real case is that the people are, facing a lot of troubles, and their work is quite tedious, it's quite laborious, it's demanding, and this is the reason why they're saying that we sleep 6 hours, when in reality, we sleep more. But is this a solid reasoning? I mean, why would somebody say that because there is so much work at my office, I am lying to the fact that I sleep less than 6 hours? Wouldn't this reasoning make much more sense that I just want to? The reason why I'm basically saying or lying that I'm sleeping less than 6 hours because I want to state the fact that, hey, you know what? I'm really, I'm not that lazy. I don't sleep a lot. So if this would have been the reasoning, then this body paragraph would have been quite sound, in my opinion. But right now, I'm a bit perplexed by this, to be very honest. If either of the above situation it is proves true, then the contention may be significantly hindered. Okay, I like this. Uh, what should I say about this body paragraph? Not great, I would say, not great. Okay. Finally, the author assumed that all the employees have similar capabilities, which are regulated by the amount of sleep, but this might not be. Ooh, okay. So this is probably happening. This might not be true. This might not be true. This might not be true. So this is like red flags that you want to avoid in Nahar. Okay. Perhaps it may be possible that staff with lower sleeping hours are more productive and talented than the staff with higher sleeping hours. Staff with lower sleeping hours are more productive. Isn't this what the passage is basically saying? And you have to attack that. You're kind of like supporting this. Staff with lower sleeping hours are more productive and talented than the staff with. So, if you want to attack the author's position, you probably would have said that there might be a case when people are sleeping for more hours, yet they are equally productive. Are you getting this point? And Nahar?
Yeah, yeah, I just wrote it in the different, in the contrasting manner.
Yeah, so
I should.
you, instead of critique, this is basically a support. So you probably confused a little bit. You probably, mixed the ideas. So this is what the author is basically saying, and you're kind of like supporting it. Okay, moreover, it may be the case employees might have same sleeping hours, but have different efficiency associated. Yeah, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense. If either of the above scenarios proves to be true, then the argument. Ooh. So there is a lot of, you can say, redundancy, and the sentence variety is just simply not there. So this is like a red flag. Okay, overall it's good. It's good. I like it. From here to here at least, it's good. But this part, not really. Okay. In conclusion, the author conclusion. In conclusion, the author's conclusion. You could say to conclude or to summarize. I mean, again, using two words in the same sentences seems a bit redundant as well. So I would say to summarize, the author's conclusion may be correct that hiring employees having sleeping less than 6 hours will be productive for the firm to prosper. However, as it stands now, okay, so you have probably used this word somewhere. As it stands now, let me see. As it stands now. Okay, so I think what you really need to do is work on your sentence variety, man. I mean, there is a lot of stuff which you're just using over and over and over again. Okay, however, as it stands now, that the suggestion relies on three unstated assumptions that significantly hinders the validity of the argument. If the author wants to increase the persuasiveness of the conclusion, he must addresses the assumptions above. Okay, so this is like an A1. I like it. This is a bit confusing, to be very honest, somewhere between B and C. So it's really confusing. Okay. And this kind of like did the opposite. So this is also somewhere in between B and C. Okay. Not a huge fan. So what score will I give it? Probably somewhere between 3 and a 4. But my guess is a 3.5 at max. Why? Because the problem is, first of all, there is no sentence variety. I mean, you are using a lot of phrases over and over again. Second, the arguments in your body 2 and body 3 were a bit vague, and it was not really clear whether you're trying to critique or support. So overall, it was good. It had structure. It had an introduction, body 1, body 2, body 3. But at max, man, you're getting a 3.5 at this. Do you have any more questions before we call it a day?
How much words should be there? Word count. How much words?
I mean, if you can write 500 plus, okay, that should be more than enough. With, not much grammar mistakes, good syntax, sentence variety, solid argument, solid body. So 500, I mean, 500 to 600 would be like an ideal case, in my opinion. Okay.
It's around 380 words. Is it low, right?
Uh, I mean, you could write 400 words. Honestly, I wouldn't mind, as long as you're basically, falling accurately on what ETS basically demands. You should be persuasive. You should have concrete ideas. You should be cohesive. You should have sentence variety. Good structure. All of those things. Honestly, I wouldn't mind, but from experience, If you are basically reading ETS official material, and they have this essays responses, if you're reading those, so normally people who have scored 5 or 5 plus, their range is somewhere over here. Okay, so this is like the ideal range that the ETS is looking for. I honestly would not mind even if there is like a 400 word essay. If it's delivering everything, I honestly wouldn't mind. But again, I'm not checking, or I'm not making a GRE, right? ETS is, and ETS is basically giving 5 plus to people who are writing essays between 500 to 600 from experience. So yeah, should be you should be targeting if you are looking for a 5 plus score. So are there any other questions before we call it a day?
Uh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
No problem. No problem.